Hello and welcome to my channel. Go ahead, hit the like, hit the share. This video, I guess you see what the display is showing. And quite funny how every time there's a trending subject, there's always going to be a way to throw R. Kelly name in the headline with it. It'd be mighty great if they throw some of these fake accusers in the headlines with all the things we've uncovered about their real stories. But anyways, let's go and see what Steve Greenberg had to say.
Here in Illinois and most states are not going to take place for a couple of months. I had just bought a new place, hence the echo. No furniture, but we're doing fine. The bar is fully stocked and the restaurants are all open, so you can get carry out. So the next time you'll see me, I'll have another 10 pounds. How are you doing?
There you go. We're okay. We're still able to get information out to folks, and some of the information we want to get is from you today. And let's start with your client, R. Kelly. We know what's going on with the coronavirus. We know how it's impacting jails and prisons across the country. And my understanding is you have now filed a motion to try to get R. Kelly released. Can you explain what you did and why you did it?
Sure. I don't think we really know, and that's part of the concern here. What they're telling us is that we should social distance, right? We should be apart. And people like R. Kelly, any inmate, is in essentially confinement with, in his case, there's 80 other people on a small jail floor. You have a cellmate. You have to go out into a common area to eat. The food is being brought by people who may or may not be infected. You have 80 people sharing 2 telephones. What the Bureau of Prisons has done is they've cut off all visitation from outsiders, but they've said we're going to increase everyone's phone minutes. We're going to let you talk on the phone more. So you've even got more chance of transmission and infection from that. And let's face it, R. Kelly, unlike, for instance, Michael Avenatti, who tried this, or Michael Cohen, is a pretrial detainee. Whatever you may think, he is assumed innocent of the charges. He is not a flight risk, and he's not a danger to others. So what we did was we asked in both New York and Chicago for the judges to allow him to be released and to be released to his apartment. It's no longer the Trump. He's got a new apartment. He can remain on confinement there. He can be on what they call home incarceration, which is 24-hour-a-day lockdown. They can monitor him through a GPS or electronic monitoring bracelet, make sure he doesn't leave there. They can make sure that no one else comes there. But the fact is that a jail is probably the worst environment anyone could possibly be in now.
All right, let's walk through this a little bit, though. One concern that people are going to say is, okay, he's not a flight risk. Really? He's not a flight risk? This is a guy with access to money. And I think that's one of the first things that people react to when they talk about R. Kelly. This guy has been around the world, has performed around the world. What would prevent him from traveling, from leaving, from fleeing?
Well, first of all, he has no desire to flee. Second of all, he has nowhere to go. Third of all, there's no flights. Fourth of all, he doesn't have a passport. He knew these charges were coming for a long time, and he didn't flee at all. When the agents first approached him on the street in Chicago, he was cooperative. He was under indictment in state court. He didn't flee. When he had his prior state charges, which were very, very serious charges, those charges carried potentially decades in jail. He showed up for every court appearance. He's not a flight risk in any way, shape, or form. Where is he possibly going to hide? He's R. Kelly.
Well, how about this? What was celebrity makes him different than anyone else right now who's in jail waiting for a trial?
Vinny, I don't think he's different than anyone else. My associate was in court this morning, asking for bonds to be set on several of our state court inmates. He's at a different courthouse this afternoon asking the bond be set. I've got another gentleman who's a little bit older than R. Kelly, who's in a prison serving a 20-year sentence. He has about 3 years left. We filed yesterday asking for compassionate release for him. I mean, this is an extraordinary situation. I don't think it's one that anyone anticipated, and it's going to require creative solutions, but people should not be required to be in a situation where they're exposed to this pandemic. He's not a murderer, not someone who's been convicted of a crime, and he should be released. There are accommodations that can be made, and people who are charged with crimes, I understand that they're serious crimes. I understand that bail can restrict you, but when bail is putting you in a situation where your health is at risk, that's a different story. Imagine if there was an outbreak of malaria in the jails. People would say, oh my God, we've got to let these people go. Imagine if there was an outbreak. I mean, it's medically impossible, but what if cancer could be transmitted by just being in the same room with somebody? People would say, we got to let these guys go. These are not people who've been sentenced to death.
So what is going to, because the allegations against him is that he has some level of control over any series of women, young women, minors, etc. What would prevent him exercising that control and having these people who prosecutors say are victims of R. Kelly somehow return to wherever R. Kelly is?
The charges and the indictments go back decades. Those women have moved on from whatever relationship they may have had with R. Kelly. R. Kelly has moved on from whatever relationship he may have had with them. Azriel Clary, who was sticking by him, has now sought to go off on her own. Not sought to go off on her own. She has gone off on her own. She is profiting from her relationship with R. Kelly. She's not going to profit if she goes back to him. He has Jocelyn Savage, who he wants to live with. She's in the apartment now, and that's the only person who's there. No one's going to be coming running back to R. Kelly and away from these allegations that they've made.
All right, let's talk about some of the allegations. There's been a superseding indictment filed against R. Kelly. Racketeering. Racketeering is the big headline. I think of racketeering, I think back to the years of those mob trials, Rudy Giuliani, John Gotti, etc. Your reaction to your client now, get another racketeering charge, but this whole concept that he's running a criminal enterprise.
Right. This is probably the greatest abuse of the RICO law that I have seen in my years of practice, and every time RICO's been used in a case, in a criminal case, it's been used to prosecute essentially a gang. Whether the gang is the mob, the gang is a street gang, the gang is a drug dealing enterprise, something like that, that has been a violent enterprise that has wreaked havoc on over a number of years on a community across the country, whatever it is. Here, what they're saying is that R. Kelly, and it's very complicated, but they're saying that R. Kelly, the musical brand, the singer himself, not Robert Sylvester Kelly, but R. Kelly, the persona, it'd be like saying, I'm trying to think of another artist, not necessarily Prince or someone like that, but just the identity of R. Kelly. It's like saying the Beatles were a RICO enterprise, because what they've said is the purpose of this RICO enterprise was to promote his shows, was to sell albums, was to sell music, and was to get girls and have sex. Well, that sounds to me like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Bon Jovi, any other known enterprise. The reason they've done that is pretty clear charges because they've taken essentially misdemeanors and said these are things that he's done wrong. And under the racketeering law, because it doesn't matter if the crime is a misdemeanor or a felony, doesn't really matter the mental state, they've elevated it into this superstar of charges. This is not what the racketeering laws were intended to punish, and it's an abuse of the racketeering statute in our opinion.
I have to correct you, stand up for my fellow New Jerseyan. Bon Jovi married his high school sweetheart, Steve.
Okay.
You should know that.
I don't know that, but I didn't use Bruce Springsteen because I knew you were from New Jersey.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about trial dates here, right? There's a trial date coming up in October, but we know everything that's happening now.
There's a trial date coming up in July in New York.
In July also, that's right. So how does all of this impact all of that? You've got tons of clients, plenty of trials, plenty of cases, but so does every other lawyer, every other judge. What's going to happen to our courts, and how do you think that ends up impacting cases against R. Kelly?
I don't know in general what they're going to do. I know that here in the Chicago area, there's 5 different counties. There's Cook County, which is where Chicago is, and there's what they call the collar counties, and each county has taken a different approach. Cook County has set things off to basically mid-May. I think that's unrealistic. The next largest county has said, when we figure out a date, we're going to start resetting everything. The state Supreme Court has said that the speedy trial statute should not apply during this pandemic. I don't know if they can say that lawfully or not, but they've said it. There's no way to get ready for a trial of this magnitude in this environment. The jail, we have to get special permission to go into the jail. I went one day to review the new indictment with him. But let's face it, while I don't want him in that jail, I don't want me in that jail either. I'm 6 weeks off from my 60th birthday, which is one of the ages they say you're older than 60, although they keep backing that up. So maybe it's older than 50, maybe it's older than 40 now. But I don't want to be in the jail day after day in this situation preparing for trial with them, and that's one of the things we put in our motion. I don't see any way we can go to trial in July in this current environment. Maybe October, but certainly not in July.
Do you think there's going to be an incredible backlog because, there's still crimes being committed as we sit here and speak? The criminals do what they do. Some may stop because of the coronavirus, but many will not, and there'll be other crimes. So what's going to happen overall? I mean, for every month that goes by, those are old cases that haven't been tried, but then there's a month full of new cases that have arisen.
Right. Here again, I can only speak to what's going on in my own backyard, but in Cook County, they are not prosecuting drug cases. So if someone gets arrested on a drug case, and let's face it, the police aren't arresting people nearly as aggressively as they usually do. If someone gets arrested on a drug case, they're going to court, and that case is being dismissed. I saw probably 24 get dismissed the other day. There's still shootings going on in Chicago. I think last night there were 6 separate shootings. I don't know if they're investigating them. I don't know what they're doing with them. But there's going to be a huge backlog of cases that need to be brought that are being dismissed during this time, where there's going to be a lot of people who think they can get away with anything. I don't have those solutions. Those are policy solutions for greater minds than mine. I think everyone's got their hands full now with trying to figure out what do we do with the people that are in jail there, for example, low-level offenders. Someone who couldn't make bond but is charged with a theft. And again, I'm not talking about someone charged with a murder, but the lower-level offenders. I think they're trying to figure out right now what to do with those people. Part of all that sort of depends on who you believe and whose forecast you believe, and that's part of the great unknown. What's really going to happen in the next few weeks?
So, from your perspective, you're trying to get R. Kelly out. The fact that he is R. Kelly, he is a celebrity. Does that harm him? Because if he gets out, everyone's going to hear about it, and then everyone's going to be wondering, why did R. Kelly get out and no one else? So you think that may deter a judge or judges from helping R. Kelly out here, sending him to some level of home arrest waiting for his trial?
It shouldn't. We're not asking for anything different for R. Kelly from what we're asking for other people. I have other people that we're filing similar motions on. Other lawyers have filed motions on behalf of their clients. We're not asking that he be released because he's R. Kelly. We're asking that he be released because he's not a flight risk, he's not a danger, and the present environment that he's in is risky to his health and everyone else's health.
Does he have health issues?
He does have health issues. He's had surgery. He had a hernia surgery while he was in jail. He has high blood pressure. He has a slip disc that he's dealing with. But no, he doesn't have asthma, which places him in a higher risk than most people. But he's 53 years old, and he's in a jail environment. I don't think that someone who is in jail, who is charged with a non-violent, and I'm talking serious violence, a non-violent felony should be held in jail. They should make an accommodation that through today's technology, all of these people can be released and can be monitored on an electronic monitoring bracelet, and they should all be released. These are strange times. These are unprecedented times, and they call for, unique solutions.
Now, in R. Kelly's case, it will be more than one judge will have to grant this, right? Or is one judge
Correct.
holding him in?
The New York judge has asked the government to file a response to the motion, I believe, by Monday. The Chicago judge has asked the prosecutors here to file a response by Wednesday. They want to know what Bureau of Prisons is doing, because even if you're in a local jail, it's still governed by Bureau of Prisons. What are they doing in light of the crisis and light to protect the inmates? So we'll get some more clarity then. What are they doing in light of the crisis and light to protect the inmates? So we'll get some more clarity then. It's interesting. I read something this morning that the Bureau of Prisons is now asking that the federal jails don't transfer people to them. In other words, they want to stop the transfer of new inmates into the Bureau of Prisons. Local jails, the local federal jails, have asked to slow down the flow of new people coming to the jails. Everyone recognizes this is a problem. The question is, what's the solution?
Yeah, and it's also a health risk to the guards who have to work there, and the personnel that has to clean up, the people, everyone that comes in contact day to day there.
When I went to see him the other day, I had to see a nurse. I had to fill out a questionnaire. She took my temperature and so forth. That's fine. So now you know I don't have a temperature coming in. But you really don't know if I had the virus. You really don't know if the nurse had the virus or the guard taking me up there had the virus.
It's a difficult situation, and Justice trying to make some adjustments here. All right, Steve Greenberg, before we go, one final question for you, which is, I'm out of questions right now, but is there anything I didn't ask you that you think is important right now or people should know?
No, I think let's see what happens with this. We're continuing to work on the case. We're going to file some motions and responses to motions in the next few days, and everyone just stay safe and stay healthy.
Steve Greenberg, always great to speak with you.
Thanks.
What are your thoughts on what Steve Greenberg had to say? while R. Kelly is still locked up all this time, being accused of crimes and not convicted. All these people with their hands dirty are just sitting around gloating about this bull. What y'all think about that? It's a whole lot of flip-flopping going on. It's up for y'all to pay attention. The next video I want to do, I want to give light to some things from R. Kelly himself. Stay tuned. But before I go, I just had to come back, because it's just odd to me. The same Casey Fox person has in her little bio, real life Olivia Pope. Where have we heard that before? And I just wanted to give a special shout out to all those that are supporting this channel, that have contributed to the Cash App, though it's never expected, it's always appreciated. And a special shout out to a few individuals who have had some things sent from the Amazon baby gift registry. I really do appreciate that. And I will be showing that if, well, we had to postpone the baby shower in light of everything going on. So we might still just do a virtual or a live baby shower and just open up gifts that way. But anyways, again, I appreciate everybody and all that you do. Stay tuned for the next video.